emergency switch in case that happens. Far enough. Well, good evening, people. Thank you for being here tonight. It's exciting. My name is Albie Thompson. I am the founder and president of a flute musical festival called Flutestock. We have flyers that we probably will give you during an intermission if we have some. And we are here to promote Tommy, who's going to be one of the performers at Flutestock this year. Flutestock is happening the third weekend of July, 14th to the 16th in Elkton. And so whatever you're going to hear tonight is just a taste of what is going to happen all weekend long in Elkton. Flutestock is free. You have open mic, workshop, concerts. It's going to be exciting. Without much further ado, my brother Tommy, thank you for being here, and please just entertain us.
All right. Thank you, Albie.
I'll do my best. I say we start with flute. That's what you're here for, I think. I play several instruments. Flute is actually my newest instrument. Haven't been playing it that long, but I kind of feel like I cheated because I've been playing other instruments since I was 12 years old. And, if you kind of know the ballpark, you could pick up a Native American flute and kind of get going pretty quick. But, I always tell all my students what we really love about these flutes is just the tone, is just our breath through this piece of wood and it comes out. And that's what we really love about it. But then when we really fall in love with it is all the embellishments and all the tricks that you could do, because it's a very, very simple instrument. Hi, Stephanie. I didn't see you there. So, like Albie said, I'm Tommy Graven, born and raised in Portland, Oregon, and now I'm living in Ashland. Been there for about 3 years, and I like it a whole bunch more than Portland. Very, very, very peaceful little community, and everyone's very, very kind. And I just really, really appreciate being there. And we get to see deer every day. And last night my wife saw a bear about 10 feet in front of her, little baby. It was awesome. Got it on video. She never sent it to me, though, because I was going to brag about it and share it today. But let's just get started. I brought a whole bunch of flutes. And like I said, we'll get our sound going throughout the event. And I have tricks to not blow your head off with feedback and stuff like that. And I'm not using the big speakers just because this being close to me, I could hear it a lot better than those being in front of me. So I want my little monitor system if I can. So thank you for bearing with me, and let's go. This first flute I'm going to play is made by J.P. Gomez. It's the only flute that I have made by this guy, and now I want 30 more, because they are really, really, really great. He makes very, very simple but elegant flutes, and they just play magically. So let's see what we can do with it. Oh, and by the way, I'm improvising tonight, except I might play a couple of songs I wrote. We'll see. This in the key of A. Key of A. Be ready for questions. Okay, please bring all your questions. That's one of my favorite parts about performing, honestly, is answering questions. So please ask. I like these little small, more intimate places too, because we get to do that. You know what I mean? You're not all the way over there and in the dark somewhere. Like, I could see everyone's face, and that's what's really wonderful. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone. I like to play every single note on this flute. I do have a couple of flutes at home that are tuned to a different scale, but all these are all the same. These are your modern Native American flute, and they're all tuned to play the same scales for the most part, but if you own a flute, you know that they all act a little bit different, and you could play them a little bit differently depending. But if you're a friend of mine, and I know I have quite a few here, I always say that I'm a music theory nerd, and I really, really enjoy taking these flutes somewhere else. And in the Native American flute world, a lot you'll hear playing from the heart a lot. And I think that's a big reason why we love the flute. And I always tell my students that Eric Clapton has a really hard time doing that. And he's about the best there is, and with these flutes, I think the reason to learn all the notes, this is something else I always say, it's like imagine having a really in-depth conversation without eyebrows. It's like you can't really, it's like you can't really, really express yourself the way that you want to, or if you didn't have shoulders. And I know some of us don't have shoulders and don't have eyebrows, right? I actually have a recent friend who he has alopecia and he does not have eyebrows. But you can still see what's happening, you know what I mean? So he just doesn't have these big thick ones like me and my dad have. But just imagine having that conversation, you know what I mean? That's why we have little smiley faces and stuff that we put at the end of text messages, right? So we don't sound like a jerk when we say something straight to the point, right? Smiley face, right? So that's what I really like to do, is get in touch with all the notes so you could really, truly play from your heart and really, really express what you're trying to get through. Because I think as every musician, it's really what we're trying to do, is play from our heart and express what's inside of us and get that out to the listener. And it's very, very hard for everyone. I think for the best musicians out there, that's the hardest thing, besides getting out of your own way to be able to do that. So if you do play the Native American flute, I encourage you, play all the notes and get uncomfortable, because that's where we learn the most and that's where we have the most fun, I really believe. I think being uncomfortable is one of the best gifts that God gave us, really. So let's continue. I think I'm going to keep going with some solo flute. I like to play this tiny little elderberry branch. This was made by my friend Jerry Littlejohn, and it was so small. This isn't for ergonomic purposes. This is because there wasn't room on the branch. It was really so small that she had to make the holes crooked. And I don't even know what key this thing is. Maybe it's F sharp. It's F. It says it's F. This has a very, very incredible voice. If you don't have a flute from Jerry Littlejohn, I recommend getting a hold of her. She's doing a really neat thing right now with something I don't understand, but it's gene keys and things like that, and she's making flutes to align with that. And it's really neat, and her branch flutes are really, really, really hip. I think they're just incredible. This is the second one that I've played, and I have a couple of her flutes here, like 4 or 5 actually, and she gave them to me on a long-term loan. They're not mine whatsoever. If she ever needs them back, they're hers. But she's like, I want you to play these. They're not getting played. Play these. And so I'm playing them, and if I ever get a replacement, or if I get hit by a car, she said she wants them back. So actually, we had a flute gathering in Pacifica, the Pacifica Flute Gathering in Williams, Oregon, just the other day, and I brought them all, and she actually sold a couple. So that was pretty awesome. There were just a couple that were in my collection, and we pulled them out. She played them, and somebody bought them right away. So this flute's really incredible. I tell everyone that I talk to birds with this, and it's very true, and I'm sure that all of you who have a small flute have talked to birds, and they talk back, because they really do. I played an assisted living home not that long ago, and I was telling this story, and they did not believe me, and they had a bird in a cage in the corner, and I said, well, watch. And I did, and this little thing started barking at me. So they really couldn't believe it. They really like, oh, well, okay then, So this is a really great flute. The voice on it is really remarkable. Um, the sounds that you can get from this flute are just they're out of this world. So I hope you agree. Jerry Littlejohn. Let's pick this thing up. Oh, my guitar pick is somewhere else. We don't need a guitar pick. We're probably in tune. glad that worked out. Yeah, I was tap dancing up here. Yeah, after a while, I don't know. I say this almost every concert, but I oddly enjoy messing up, and I really did there. I don't know if you noticed or not. Doesn't really matter. But I really, really do. I don't know. There's something about it. It used to break me in two. I used to mess up in front of people when I was playing, and I'd take my music so seriously that it would really just break me. And I would go home and think that I was nothing. And something happened. I don't know what it is, but someone I admire very much told me once that happiness is a choice. And I really, really believe that. I really, really do. Trials and tribulations, of course, and things are hard and harder for some than others, but I really believe that we have, because of our free will to go forward, we really are able to be humbled, and being humbled, just like being uncomfortable, is a really incredible thing, so actually a really good example, and maybe I'll mess up again tonight like I did at the flute gathering. I just played a wonderful flute gathering, and Sarah and Albie were there, and I sang a song that I wrote that's very important to me. And as soon as I started singing, I lost my voice completely. I started just squeaking all over the place. And I'm just going, well, I'm just going to keep going. And I sang the whole song really bad. And I don't know. I got off stage that night, and I was texting with my wife. And I was like, God, I really blew it tonight. She's like, well, was it fun? And I go, well, yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a whole bunch of fun, actually. And she's like, well, then great. Sounds like a success. I'm like, right, great. So she's like, so you got to hang out with your friends and play music all weekend? Yeah. She's like, that's awesome. And it was, and that's really what it's about, And so I'm thinking about singing that song right now and see if I can mess it up again. I did practice it yesterday, so maybe I won't. But the song? Well, the song is called Wolves. I was actually going to play a handful of my songs tonight. We'll see what happens. I never really have a set list in front of me when I play. I used to do that all the time, but I found that it got in my way. That's a little better, right? Let's hear. That's a little better. Yeah, well, let's make sure we're not going to feedback here. Yo, yo, yo. Check. So this song is called Wolves, and I'll take a big drink of water before I go, and now that I said all that, I kind of hope I squeak for you. The song is actually about an old band that I had, and it's the most ironic band name in the world, especially for what the song is about. It was a 3-piece band, and we really took it seriously. We bought the tour van, we bought all the big stuff. I had the big guitar stack, and we really went for it. We toured all over the place and really, really went for it. It was the band that I truly tried my hardest with, my early 20s. And we just got at each other's throats, no matter what, with everything that 3 guys can get at each other's throats for. Use your imagination. And of course, we partied a lot, and now I've been clean and sober for a very long time, but that got in the way as well. But we really were at each other's throats like wolves. And that's why I called it Wolves, because we were really like this pack of wolves fighting over a big hunk of meat and just fighting each other. And we could not understand each other no matter what. And in the end, the band broke up, but so did the friendship for the most part. And although we still all talk a little bit and we're all still friends and in a way that we love each other and that we respect each other, we're no longer mates like we were. We no longer hang out with each other like we did. And the band was called Dream Killer. Yeah, right. That's the most ironic band name you could ever have, and I'm not going to tell you why it was called Dream Killer, because it's kind of awful why it was called that, but it really ended up being the most ironic thing in the world. And we were going to call our band City of Roses was what we were going to call it, and I thought that was the coolest name in the world. We were all from Portland, Oregon. We loved Portland. And I thought City of Roses was the coolest thing, but someone said it sounded like Guns N' Roses, so we can't do that. And I'm like, but it's a cool band name, and we get to have roses in the title, and how cool is that? And for artwork and everything. And then I said the word Dream Killer one day, referring to something, and we said, let's call it Dream Killer. And so we called it Dream Killer. And I never liked the band name, but we just went for it. We released an album and recorded another that never got released. But that was before Spotify and everything, and so nothing is out there in the world. You could find a couple YouTube videos out there if you look really hard. You see me. It was a rock and roll band. Sounded a lot like Foo Fighters, kind of, but a lot heavier and harder and faster than that. And we screamed a lot. Sounded like pterodactyl sometimes, but a lot of harmony as well. And it was really good. We really tried hard, and we were a really good band. We were a 3-piece band. The drummer sang, I sang, the bass player sang, and we did 3-part harmony. It was really incredible. And I think really what it was between our addictions and our heart, we just let it get in the way. We let our feelings get in the way of what was happening. And so that's what this song's about. The song's called Wolves. And most people, when you hear this song, would never think that that's what this song is about. They'd probably think it was about a girlfriend or the state of the world or something like that. But it's actually just about an old band breaking up. And let's see if I could mess it up. I got some water with some liquid IV in it is what it's called, or something like that. I bought it at Costco, and turns out it's just a bunch of sugar. But we paid for it, so I'm drinking it. I think we got it. Me. That was my vocal warm-up. I'm a comedian in my second life.
Around your shoulders, stealing your breath. The things that were simple, conversation killed. Your halo's coming down, teaching you. It's alright, we're crossing rivers that we never thought we would survive. It's alright, we're gonna play until our fingers crack, lay down and die.
wants to be wrong. We're at one another like wolves, fighting to be God. Who's gonna hang the picture? Who's gonna be the painter? What's gonna be the canvas for everything to come? It's alright, we'll cross the rivers that we never thought we would survive. It's alright, we're gonna play until our fingers crack, lay down and die. It's alright, we'll cross the rivers that we never thought we would survive. It's alright, we're gonna play until our fingers crack, lay down and die. It's alright. It's alright. We made it. Yeah, we made it through. A little bit. We always struggle with it. For me to really do it right, I got to really practice forever and ever and ever. And I just never do because I always find myself too busy, and that's no excuse. But I really enjoy singing, and I think that's the number one thing. You know, for a long time, doing this solo artist thing, I promised myself that I would only release instrumental music, and I just had all these songs that I really liked. And I still have a whole bunch more that I'm like, well, I should just record them. I should just do it. And I should just play and have fun with it because I enjoy it. And so that's what I'm doing. I've recorded and released 2 songs with vocals now. And I just really, really like to do it. And I think that's what's the most important thing. Is like, if you're not having fun, there's no reason to do it. I tell everyone that being a professional musician full-time is the hardest job I ever had, but it's the funnest. I put in more hours than I did when I was working construction or social work or anything like that. Because it's really a job. You don't just go and punch in and go, great, serve the burgers, time to go home. You know, it's like you really have to truly get out of your own way. You truly, truly, truly have to show up for yourself every day, you know, and it's like this forever lesson, you know, like you always get to learn every single day more and more and more. And I'm just thankful for it. I really am. I think it's just about the coolest thing in the world. So what's next? I'm going to grab one of these plastic tubes down here. I always forget which one is which. That's not it. Yeah, let's do that one. Let's do that one. So this is a big old piece of PVC, and I ripped it out of my apartment pipes so I could bring it today and play with it. That's a lie. My friend Brent Adams makes these things, and it's literally just this. It's kind of a Native American flute, sort of, but it's an overtone flute, and it's a blast. It's a wild instrument. So let's play with it. Let's play with it. Everyone should get a loop pedal. I love these things. I'm actually giving someone lessons on a loop pedal. They just bought one because they saw me looping online, and so they went and spent like $500 and bought this loop pedal, and it's much nicer than mine. I'm very jealous of it, but she's such a neat woman, and we've just been meeting online, and I'm going through and figuring out how to help her get to it. And she's brand new to it. She's a great flute player, and she's really starting to explore. There's so much that you can do with these things. This one's very old, but it still does more than I know how to mess with it. It's just really incredible. So if you're any kind of musician, I always recommend get a loop pedal because they are incredible, lots of fun. And I think the coolest thing about them is that they provide dramatic inspiration. You really get to have a lot of fun with them. And I remember the first loop I made actually on a much older pedal than this that I sold to my friend Helen. Hi, Helen. Oh, by the way, we're on YouTube, by the way. Hi, YouTube. I sold it to her long ago, and it's just, I remember the first loop I made, and it's like when you make something and all of a sudden it plays back to you, all of a sudden you have a band, you know, and it's like you have a band and you're in a band all of a sudden, you know, just by yourself. And it's a really, really great feeling. So I love it, and I recommend it no matter what you play, even if it's drums, because I've seen a lot of amazing drums doing loops, congas, and all that kind of stuff. It's incredible. All right. I'm going to play a version of a song of mine. It's instrumental, so you don't have to hear me sing again. The version that I've actually released is very progressive rock and roll. But we're going to play it this way. And I don't know if I can pull it off or not. We'll see. I think I can. We'll see. The song is called Fighting Sheep. And it's called Fighting Sheep for two reasons. Turn the reverb off for a second. First of all, I was doing live streaming on a platform called Twitch, like 3 to 5 times a week. I was doing it a lot. And I met some incredible people on that platform. And one of them, his handle was Fighting Sheep, right? Because you can kind of hide behind a handle on that platform. I mean, people are named all sorts of things, like Bear Sister. and Fighting Sheep showed up one day, and it's a platform where you could like throw what are called bits and subscriptions and little donations and stuff like that. And it's a pretty fun platform, and you can make it to where things pop up on the screen and all that kind of stuff. And it's really neat. And Fighting Sheep just showed up, and I believe Fighting Sheep is actually his like high school mascot, and he was a wrestler. And so he was like the Fighting Sheep from Ohio or wherever he was from. And he was a guitar player and really enjoyed watching my guitar playing and flutes and everything. And one day they were asking me why I don't play electric guitar. I'm like, well, because I'm a snob. That's the short answer. And it's because I've had the cheap ones, I've had the middle of the road ones, I've had the $1,000 ones, and I'm like, I'm not buying another electric guitar until I get what I want. And what I wanted was this $3,500 crazy guitar that's like out of my range. And so I figured I'm just never going to get one. No problem. That solves that. Well, they started talking about, hey, why don't you make a donation goal? like, well, I don't know how to do that. And so we sat there for 20 minutes. They're chatting back, and there was like 20 or 30 people hanging out with me online. And we figured it out, and we had a donation goal. Like, well, how much is the guitar? I'm like, it's about $3,500. I have to order it, so I'm not totally sure, but it's about $3,500. So we made the goal, and this guy Fighting Sheep right away donated $1,200. Like that. And I just started crying online. Just, what are you doing? You know, and I feel guilty and very strange. And what do you I don't even know you. You just gave me $1,200. What's going on here? You know, and yeah, right. And it was very overwhelming, and I couldn't help it. I literally just started crying. And, and then another friend donated $75, and then another person donated 10, and everyone got all mushy in the chat. Of course, I'm the only one you could hear and see, but everyone's like putting little crying emojis up and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. So all of a sudden, I'm just playing, and like that day we raised like $1,500 towards this guitar. And I know that to get this guitar custom made, I wish I would have brought it now because it's not even here. It's a big old, it's a custom made, American made 8-string electric guitar, and it's incredible. And so about a week went by, but he kept telling me, he kept sending me private messages. Hey man, order that guitar. I promise we'll get you to you. I'm like, well, if I order it, that means I owe them $3,500 once it's made, you know, minus 15, you know? And he's like, don't worry about it, man. Just order it. I'm like, I don't know. And he told me to order it. So I did. I went through all the specs, and he goes, I want you to get what you want. So I went crazy, and I bought this, where I ordered this guitar, put down the down payment, and it was like, oh my gosh, my wife's going to kill me if they don't give me the rest of the money. What am I going to do, you know? And within about a week, I'm up playing again, and here I am streaming, and Fighting Sheep comes in the stream and paid the rest of it. He bought me about $3,000, and there was other donations, and he owns me. And, you know, God bless them all. I mean, really, it was, I've never been humbled that much. That, you know what I mean? No one in my life has ever, my job that I've had has never given me $3,500 before that I worked for. And I was just, of course I lost it again, and I cried again, and all that kind of stuff. And we went back and forth privately. And this man, I still don't even know his real name. But we went back and forth, and he said the nicest things to me. And I think he's a doctor or something. He must owns NASA or something, because that's crazy. If I had that kind of money, I would love to be able to do that kind of thing. But he did that, and we just went back and forth, and he goes, man, it's in your heart. You're supposed to be a musician, because I was talking about applying for jobs and stuff, because it's a hard job to be a musician and to continue to pay the bills. It's a very hard thing. And so every 3 to 6 months, I start looking on Craigslist and going, maybe I could be a coffee. I'll go make coffee for someone or something, you know. And then all of a sudden I get a gig, you know, and Albie calls me, hey, you want to come to Eugene? I'm like, yeah, cool, paying the car payment this month. And, you know, so we just went back and forth, and he really just humbled me, and he really, and I feel like it's unfortunate that it was money that did it, but it really slapped me silly in this really good way and made me realize, you know, I had social work for 13 and a half years, and now I feel like this is my new social work. I got compassion fatigue really bad, and I got burnt out doing social work to the point where I started cussing at clients, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I shouldn't be doing this, right? I think anyone that serves with people, if they get to that point, they need to step aside or take a long break. And so I used to be really good at that job, but then I stopped, and I'm glad that I did for all sorts of reasons. So the song is called Fighting Sheep because of that, but also, especially with today's going on, and I'm not going to talk about politics whatsoever besides one thing. No matter where your ideology is, no matter what's going on, you really notice that we're fighting sheep, right? No matter where you're at, no matter what's going on, there's this mob mentality on every single side of the fence right now. And we're all fighting that, no matter what. You know, it doesn't matter who I voted for, who you voted for. None of that's going to matter. It doesn't mean that we're bad or good people because we did it. We don't get virtue for how we vote. But we're fighting that. We really are, you know, and it's very, very hard to step outside of that and not get angry. And that's my own lesson, because if you're my friend on Facebook, you've seen me do it. So I'm a hypocrite just like the rest of us. So it was very fitting, you know, and so the album cover is actually this big lion head, and it says Tommy Graven fighting sheep, to really get through the herd, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, it's about being kind to one another, you know. About 15 years ago, no matter who you voted for, we could all sit at a table and go, oh, you're voting for that person? Oh, you're voting for that person? Well, I don't believe you. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I think I'm right. Da-da-da-da. Great. You want to go have coffee? And we would just continue, and everything was okay. Nowadays, that's not happening as much. And so I really, really say, no matter who you don't like and who you don't want to vote for and who you don't want to, whatever it is, be kind, you know. And someone I like a lot really said, he's like, you know, we're always going to need every idea. It's about being kind and sitting at the table and getting there together. You know, sometimes things need to change and sometimes they don't. And we need to get to the table and sit down and figure that out together. That's a hard thing to do today with social media and the news. So that's what this song's about. I'm not going to be able to play it the whole way that it is. Maybe it won't work at all. Maybe I just said a big old speech for nothing. Because I've never really done it this way before. I usually have my 8-string guitar with me and my laptop with me, which is over there now, but it has a bunch of sounds on it and stuff, and I do drums and all sorts of stuff. So let's just see where it goes. So, Fighting Sheep, this version. I think it mostly worked. Thank you. Yeah, so that's your lesson from Uncle Tommy, is be nice at the table. Yeah, it becomes harder and harder all the time, I feel like, Sometimes you feel like it's intentional, whether it's the news or whatever it is. Why is that happening? There it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's I think it's human nature for us to fight and for us to butt heads and to do all those things. I really do. I don't think that we're born good. I think that we're born, I just don't. This is the reason I say this. The reason I don't think that we're born good, because if we were born good, I don't have kids, but those of you who do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you take them to the store and they steal a candy bar and you go, put that back, and they go, okay. Then they go. And you have to tell them that for about 3 or 4 years until they figure it out, right? Because we have to teach that, Goodness is learned. There's a lot of bad people in the world, but mostly good, because I think that most of us, we don't want to be in pain. We don't want to get our feelings hurt. We don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. And so, it really is about you get what you put in. I really, really do believe that. For those of you who have ever been in a sweat lodge, that's kind of what that's all about. You know what I mean? You really, you could look at it like you get in this thing and sit down in the mud and you get hot and you sweat and then you leave. You could look at it like that, or you could use it for what it's for. And the lesson of the lodge to me is everything you need is in there. Every single thing that you need is in the lodge. If you get too hot, Mother's there to cool you down, lay down, shut up. You know what I mean? Talk to your elder. I had a really crazy experience once in a lodge where I was probably just dehydrated, but all my muscles in my stomach and everything just totally seized up to where I couldn't even talk. My tongue was messed up. And my brother next to me, Fred, I was literally starting to kick him because I didn't know what to do. And everyone was singing and drumming, and it was really loud. And he screamed over everybody. He goes, "Hey, Brother Tommy needs our help." And then they said, "Tommy?" And I'm like, And they opened the flap, and everyone piles out, and the water pourer, Curly at the time, started beating me with this big eagle wing and dumped water all over me. And I was trying to get out, and he wouldn't let me out. He's like, "No, lay down." And in my hands, I remember grabbing the dirt, and my hands were doing this. And he took my fingers and stretched them out and put them on the ground and dumped water on them and dumped water all over me. And he just started singing for me and literally hitting me with this eagle wing and dumping water on me and singing. And I just cried harder than I've ever cried in my entire life. And the only, in my brain, I started thinking about the time when I was a little kid when I didn't get my way and you really, really cried. And you thought it was real, and snot came out. That's what happened. It was just like the most intense thing in the world. And I really feel like I gave it my all in that lodge. And that was my last good lodge that I had, actually, because I went to a couple other lodges with some other circles after that, and they were no good for me. And I actually haven't been back since. So Alpy, we should probably talk about that. Haven't been to a lodge in a long time. So, do you guys have your flutes? You want to kind of hang out with me? Yeah. Okay. So my friends Albie and Sarah are the ones that put this together. And I asked them and said, "Will you please come play with me?" So they're going to come play with me. And I think they have the key of A. Is that right? That looks like a Brent Adams flute. Is that right? All right. See? Once you start playing the flute, you kind of just know what's going on. So you guys can share this microphone. Well, we'll fix that. And let me get over here. Yeah, here. Feel free to kick things. Feel free to kick things. All right.
Is it high enough for you? Yeah,
All right.
put it down to
In between.
Sarah's height, and I will.
Something like that.
Kind of in between, yeah.
Let's do this.
I can stand on tiptoes and he can bend over.
Something like that.
It'll work. It'll work. It'll work. It'll work.
Okay. All right. I can speak over that.
You said G, right?
Oh, he said
I just
D.
had to.
Okay, so this is the work. We're on.
Yeah.
Okay. The reverb's on now. We are ready to go. I think. Let's make sure I'm on. All right. So,
You wanna start?
I really want to thank you guys for agreeing to come up on stage with me. This is the first time I think we've ever played together.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think
It's
so.
really fun, and I really appreciate you willing to do it. And thank you for bringing me here to Eugene and Tsunami Books. It's a really cool little store. I haven't even been to the whole thing. It was all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
I need to look some more. But
You could be here all night.
yeah, I'm sure. Well, they sell music too, and I'm a James Taylor fan, so the first thing I saw was that James Taylor record that I used to have. Sold record player.
By the way, Tommy has CDs for sale.
Oh,
too.
and I have CDs for sale. Where's that?
Eugene,
In Eugene?
you're going to be.
He has to drive tonight.
I'm driving home tonight.
But if you like this, and if you want to see regular people playing flute, we have a
You're a regular.
I'm a regular
people.
people.
You just don't play.
we have a
that
flute
much.
circle called Voices of Cedar, and we meet once a month on the second Sunday of the month, and it's happening tomorrow at Sladen Park, which is by Cheshire, in North Eugene off West First. Everybody's invited. Just
Well,
show
you
up,
play
and
outside, right?
it's outside.
Now we get to, yeah.
That's
Tomorrow
so neat.
tomorrow's outside.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Okay.
No idea. Let me think about it for a second. Just for a second.
That's okay.
five.
High five. That was great. Oh my gosh, it's already time. That was kind of our finale. I thought it was grand. I'm gonna we still got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to play us out with a solo flute song. That was a lot of fun for me. Thank you. That was really awesome. I got to explore a little bit too. I like to I think it's one of my favorite things actually to play guitar with flute players, because especially when they don't know what I'm going to play, because then I get to explore and play all of these funny chords, and then they just kind of go, what's happening in there, you know? So I love that. I really love to play. Like I said, I'm a music theory nerd. I didn't go too crazy there. I just borrowed one chord, but it was fun. It was fun. All right. There's a lot of flutes I didn't play today. Well, you know, it's not what my mom says. Let's think. She said drone. We're using the drone. I agree. So, I was looking at it. We think alike. So this is a Sigentry flute drone in the key of G. It's an alternating drone, and that's because it has this big hole right here, so you could alternate one side. I need to get another one from him, because he has one now that he's making that actually has a hole in the back as well. So you could play, I think, a total of 4 or 5 notes on one side and really get wild with it. Singing tree flutes, Miguel? Yeah. Yes. I should have brought my triple, because I have a triple made by Dustin Selva of Elemental Flutes that has, it's ridiculous. It's 2 E's and then a B, and it has plugs, and you could do whatever you want with it. It's way over my head. I know another guy that plays triples that actually like plays chords and stuff, like reaches. It's wild. Yeah. So, quick story about Miguel. Really good friend of mine. I love the man. He's actually the very first flute shop I had ever visited. Now I've been in a handful, but I was in a lodge, and I had a high spirits flute. I think it might have been that one right there. This is the second flute that I ever got. Most of us get a high spirits when we first start. And I was playing after the lodge on the way down to the feast. The potluck is always a big part of the lodge, and my friend Fred says, "Hey man, you're pretty good at that. How long have you been playing?" I'm like, "About a week, you know?" And he's like, "Well man, you need to talk to Miguel." I'm like, "Who's Miguel?" And he's like, "Here's his email." So I look him up, and I send him my email, my phone number, and one day he just calls me, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up? I don't usually do this, but for some reason with your email, I just felt like we should probably hang out." I'm like, what? That's crazy. He lives in Portland. He did at the time. Now he's up in Washington, out in the middle of the woods. And so I told my wife, and I'm like, I can't believe this, but this guy wants to hang out with me, and he makes these flutes, and oh my God, I get to see his shop. And I went over there. I'll never forget walking in this tiny little workshop that he had. It was in a garage, and he had a wood stove. And I walk in there, and you smell all the wood shavings from all the different kinds of wood, mostly cedar, but just, oh my God, I about fell over. It was just so intoxicating is the only word I could use, really. And then we just sat down, and he's like, "Hey man, how about like we just like work something out?" I'm like, "What does that mean?" First of all, he handed me a flute, and he goes, "Here man, you should have this." And I go, "What is he?" So he tried to give me a flute right away, and I said, "No, man, no." So I didn't let him give me the flute. I even offered him tobacco and everything when I first started this old Indian way, you know. And he goes, "Man, why don't you just play guitar and let's just kind of like hang out, and I'll teach you how to make flutes." And so we started hanging out like that, and I made a couple of flutes. And And then I quickly realized that I'm going to cut a finger off if I keep going. So I stopped making flutes. But since then, me and Miguel have just been really good friends. And every now and again, I'd say 2 or 3 times a year, he calls me or I call him, and we spend about 2 hours on the phone. And we just talk about everything, about what's been going on. We talk about politics a little bit. We talk about flutes. We talk about people. We talk about everything. And really just kind of share our stories and our lives together. And Miguel's a really, really neat guy, you know, and I'm not going to tell you his story and his history because that's for him to talk about. But it's wild. And I never, looking at him, you would never in a million years think that's where he came from. And now he's this incredible, peaceful, giant bear of a man with dreadlocks and just makes these flutes and plays them really, really great. I think he's a much better flute player than I am. He should be. He's been making them longer than I've been alive, just about. That's not quite true, but anyway. So he sent me this one about 2 years ago, along with another drone in the key of A. And I don't know. There's something about his flutes. I really love them. So if you're into one of these flutes, you could actually get a discount if you use my name at the end when you check out. Use coupon code Tommy. And that's true. You really can. If you buy a flute and at the end and check out, you use coupon code and you'll get a discount. I'm not sure what the discount is anymore, but anyway, he's a really great guy. His wife Sarah and the whole gang. He started as a one-man show, and now he's actually has like 5 or 6 people working for him, and they're all really, really great people, and they're hilarious. So you ever get a chance to meet him or talk to him or just email him or something, you're lucky. So this is my last song. We'll see if I got this right. This one's a little temperamental. I think we got it. In the key of G, alternating drone flute. You could get something like this, very simple, on his website. And really, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I honestly didn't expect to see this many people here. No one knows me and Eugene except for Albie and Sarah and Stephanie. And so, well, now you guys do. So I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me to see you in those chairs, and thank you for staying the whole time. And yeah, I'll probably have a little cry on the way home because that's what I do. I'm always humbled by people showing up to see me. It's a big deal for me. So thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart for hanging out. And I don't know what's going to happen with this flute, but I dedicate it to you guys, and thank you very much. God bless. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Scott and Tsunami Books, very much. Thank you very much for having me. And yeah, I do have a couple CDs for sale if you're interested. And while I'm packing up, I love to answer questions. I got some business cards somewhere too. If you're interested in booking or any of that kind of stuff, I give lessons online and I tell jokes. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.